how do you hire teachers?
Are they into teaching by choice or by chance?
There's a part of the teaching which is also a job.
If I'm going to teach a group of 30 students, I'm not dealing only with 30 students, right? I'm teaching about 6 sections. So I'm talking about 180 plus students.
Most of the schools that at least I have
Right.
spoken to and I've also taught in, the attrition is very high.
I'm like, come on, give me an evidence of that.
Many teachers expect a certain thing to happen in a school. What is the expected role and responsibility of a teacher?
But all these are considered these days by teachers as administrative jobs.
Coming back to the parents thing,
When you're working with parents of younger children, parents are also new to parenting. Why should I talk this to your parent? I'm telling you, why don't you listen? And I've seen a lot of other teachers today being super skilled at the usage of the system. Especially during online, it was extremely evident that these teachers are going to thrive.
what are some common gaps that you see in teachers who are applying to you?
There's only one big gap.
Should principals also be teaching a class? So I was mentioning to you when we were speaking on phone as well, the majority of the audience of staff room is either young teachers, less than say about 30-32 years, or principals who have just become principals. Either they just
Okay.
got promoted or they have taken over from some other principal just now, and so on and so forth. The first, maybe the topic that we can pick up is how do you hire teachers? What are the kind of knowledge, skills, mindsets that you look for in a teacher when you're hiring them?
Got it. See, every school and its ideology changes a little bit while hiring teachers. But one thing that all of us as educators and principals would love to see is the attitude, the positive attitude towards learning. So not that, not making it more like a transactional model. I am going to transact some kind of learning in a very, what do I call it, more like a monetary kind of a model. That is not going to be working, because we are talking about individuals, children at different ages, impressionable ages, I should say, whether they are small children or they're adolescents. They are looking forward to more than just the subject knowledge. So that readiness to be able to find themselves available to their students is a very important
And if you can make it a little more tangible, if that's the right word, on how does this show up in a teacher? Let's say I am the new teacher. I come to you and say, "Hey, I want to join." What will I be doing, saying, or showing that will tell you that this is I'm good at?
Correct. This is more on a conversational level that I, as a principal, establish with the teacher. Try to understand what brought them to teaching, and what are the aspects they think are the primary attributes required to become a teacher, and what is it that they possess that they feel that they're ideal for this particular role. Are they into teaching by choice or by chance? And all this is about the attitude measurement. And this level of discussion only happens if we know that the teacher already has an educational qualification which allows them to, even come to that level of interview where they are
Yeah.
going to be
Okay.
joining
Do you
us.
have an example that comes to mind of somebody who you had a conversation and it immediately struck you that yes, this is a person with the right attitude?
I can tell you there was one teacher in my past experience. So the teacher came with a small level of Montessori experience. So Montessorian, she was a true Montessorian, and she came with that. And to say she was not coming from a very big name, it was a small school that she was coming from. But I just asked her what brought her into teaching, and then she mentioned certain, ideals about the Montessori teaching methodology itself, which she was very impressed about, and how she saw children growing in her classroom by her engagement with those children and the right choice of just not materials, about the right choice of simple language, simple tools that she put in her teaching and learning experience that made a big impact on the students. And so, I didn't even ask much. I said, "You're in," and I took that.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned this reflective teacher point. One of the things that we do on the staff room is put out research-based videos for teachers and principal communities. In fact, one of the videos that is going to go out this week is about reflective practices as a teacher.
Oh, wow. I
Uh,
mean,
and
that's
what we found was there was a 2023 analysis of multiple papers put together, which was done by a Professor Jai and his colleagues, which showed that the student outcomes in a reflective teacher's class is 65% higher than the other teachers.
absolutely agree. Completely agree. It's like totally. And if when you say reflective teaching, very, very conscious. It's not just about going and saying, wow, all this went on really well.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're doing that regularly, there's a likelihood of a lot more things going really well. That you can see that wow element in all your children. It can be in one sentence you've spoken or all those, but if you're going to sit and think about what all didn't go well,
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
that's
as simple a practice as right outside after you take a class, come out, spend a minute maximum, maybe, because you're also running between classes. You think, okay, make a note, one thing that went well, one thing that didn't go well, is good enough to start off as a process.
yes, and this should be a very conscious effort. And it can't be just after a class. It should be at the end of every day. We call it a reflective journal.
Hmm,
So
hmm.
if you're a practicing teacher, you need to put this in practice. Because a 7A class could have gone well. 7B, the same session could have failed very miserably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you cannot think all the audiences are one. The audiences are intelligent minds that you're interacting with. So you cannot put them in one box and say all of them are going to. So a wow class in one particular section is going to be a dismal failure in another section. The same elements put into play. So we have to keep looking at why this didn't work in this particular
Yeah,
class
yeah. When I
and then
had
make
started off
adjustments.
in my very first year as a teacher, I was teaching fourth standard as a full-time class teacher, and at the same time, I was also doing maths for seventh standard. And
Okay.
I was still figuring out what kind of teacher I am, what works with kids, and so on and so forth. And somehow it happened that the seventh standard class I was able to better manage than the fourth standard class. So that
Okay.
happened first. And I just assumed that whatever I do in seventh standard will work in fourth standard. None of it worked. So if somebody is applying, let's say, to a Chrysalis today, in their application, what is it that they can write, say, do, demonstrate that will give them an edge? That, okay, I am considered because I've done XYZ. What would those be?
See, um, if I were to be looking at a resume, the first thing is, of course, the educational qualification, the experience and the richness of the experience. So, how many years, how long, what grades, consistent, like you can't be applying for a biology job and have an experience in physics, teaching of physics. So, these are relevant experience, all of it. Then if a teacher can put in, so these were all the tools and extra things that we do, or any other extra acquisition, like in terms of have you taken an online program, or have you signed up for an additional session, maybe those Udemy classes, courses, all of those, or Coursera offers all these courses and all certifications, small certifications. And how skilled are you in the usage of ICT or any of these tools? Are you even familiar with the education terminologies? Like if someone understands what is discovery learning, what is, implementation of differentiated instruction in a classroom. So these are just not in terms of representation. If I see that in the resume, I will definitely want to ask, what is the differentiated instruction strategy that you used in the class? So, but these add more value to a resume, because then you feel that, okay, this teacher knows something about education.
Okay.
Otherwise, people just come by and just write, we have engaged in an inquiry based learning model, we have done that. And if you ask two questions and they are like stuck sometimes, and
Yeah.
AI has not helped us anyway, also, right?
Yeah. So what I'm taking away then is obviously learn multiple things, but at the same time, don't write anything out of the blue in your resume. Whatever is written there needs to be backed up with your own knowledge and ability to demonstrate that knowledge.
Absolutely.
And how would they go about thinking what salary band and work perks that I manage? Because there is a level of there is a part of the teaching which is also a job, right? I get
Correct.
paid and I have a work culture. I need to feel happy and I need to feel
Correct.
appreciated
Correct.
for. So how do I negotiate salary when I'm applying? Is it something that I should already have in mind that this is what I will work for, this is what I will not work for? Or does Chrysalis have its own salary bands, maybe, where you know that, okay, if X experience, then equals this range?
Yeah, see, all schools, including Chrysalis, works on a salary band. It makes it simpler, for the main reason that whoever is in the system or whoever is coming in the system shouldn't feel that um, they are at the receiving end, or they have had a disadvantage over another person. So it's very clear in that particular thing. So if you have X, education, in terms of the highest education being a master's in education or a doctorate, then a bachelor of education degree or an equivalent of that, and then your graduation or post graduation in that subject that you're teaching. I could be a postgraduate in zoology and still teach English, doesn't matter. I mean, then I am not going to be valued as much as a person who is a master's in English, who's teaching English. So that is one educational qualification, that is the primary thing. Then the number of years.
Sorry to be a little more clear so that our audience
Yeah.
also takes away the right thing. It's not having the highest degree, it's having the
Huh.
highest degree in the domain that you're teaching in. Which is the
Yes,
example
agreed.
that you drew. Masters in
Correct.
zoology teaching English will earn lesser than masters in English teaching English.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the same thing, a person can be an MTech. But you're an MTech, you're teaching mathematics. I mean, this is how it is. A lot of engineers are landing up in teaching, but they are not likely to be drawing a salary as high as someone who has masters in English and who's teaching English, or masters in mathematics, teaching mathematics, or masters in education with masters in mathematics is like really one of the better qualified people in terms of education. So that is the first thing. The second thing is, of course, relevant experience. How many years of experience, what kind of rich experience you've had, what all you have had. That's the second thing. So this is one thing, and the level of training, as I said. So how many, training. Like besides the B.Ed and the M.Ed, is there any other extra training that you've undergone and all of that? So that attributes to all these things. The last thing, so these help in fixing a salary band, but there are always those exceptions who are like, some people who may not have these
They have that
exceptional
X factor
educational
in addition to.
qualifications, but they do have that extra edge to teaching, who are able to make that connect initially.
Yeah.
So those people, of course, we do consider a different
What are some traits of these this X factor or the edge? What are some traits that you have seen?
uh, it's so difficult when you're asking me what it is, because it's more like an intuition. When you're talking to a person and you make that connect, that they're talking a lot more about education that they've deeply understood. So when they talk about the connect with the students and what their experiences are, it's very simple for us as educators to understand which one is genuinely coming from an experience and which one is just, probably being expressed
Yeah. The
as.
reason I also asked this question is, it is very easy for some of us to look at this X factor and edge based decision making that a principal or the management is doing and think that this is favoritism, this is politics that is happening, my effort is not being recognized. It's very easy for me to shift into that mindset. Hence, I
Yeah.
thought it's important to also bring out what are some things. One of the things that you're talking about, you just rightfully mentioned, is how deeply do they care and understand why they want to do this. That's one of
Yes.
the things that you're looking at.
And not only that, the kind of work they've gone beyond, over and above their responsibilities, written responsibilities. See, everyone comes with a job description, right? So, but there are certain things you can't write in a JD. Like providing remedial classes to a certain level is something that goes in a JD. I mean, a teacher is supposed to be offering remediation to students that he or she is teaching, so that children are going to come at grade level. But to what extent did you take that remediation? So that conversion, it can't be put on paper.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is something that you have to sit and analyze while you talk and while you understand. Then you know the kind of connect they have established or what is the remedial they've gone. How much or how far did they go to ensure their children are learning?
Understood, understood. Going back to the bands that you were talking about, is this something that changes year on year, or is this kind of a broad range that stays true for 3 4 years?
No, no, it changes. Year on year, it changes.
Okay.
And the increment policy also kind of changes. The
Got
HR policies are subject to change. Of course, when there is inflation, that is all likely to have
Understood.
that
And for
difference.
Chrysalis, is this publicly announced bands when you're
No,
hiring and
it's an
internally?
internal structure. So whoever comes here is for an interview is well aware that this is the bandwidth that is there. So if we can, we will. If we cannot, then we will not. Because every school has its own structure, right? So they may be coming from a school where the bandwidth is higher or really low. So we try to fit them in the current band.
Current band, but it's not something that, so say for example, I'm whoever is watching this when we put it out could be a teacher who might want to join Chrysalis. They will not be able to go on your website and say, okay, this is the range that is there.
No, no, no.
Okay, so
That is not shared. And that is, as I told you, that also becomes differential over a period of time when depending upon people and the right candidate. All of us are looking for the right mix of that passion and interest and going over and above and reaching up to a sense of ownership. That's a huge, huge thing.
correct, got it, got it. So maybe one last question on this hiring section, and then we can move to the other one. The attrition is fairly high in many schools, maybe not in Chrysalis. I wouldn't know, but most of the schools that at least I have
Yeah.
spoken to and I've also taught in, the attrition is very high. And one of the things that from staff room that we also help such schools from time to time. Let me actually show that as a screen also. Maybe you
Okay.
can also share what we could improve on.
Interesting. I would also like to see
Yeah.
that
So
because as a principal, I've also been quite worried about reducing the number of resignations every year in the past, as well as I will start worrying about it from January, February, because now it's still not that fag end of the year, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I will
Yeah.
start getting worried.
So there are a bunch of things that we do with schools. One is, of course, pick up successful teachers from their schools and try and showcase their work on our platform so that it becomes an inspiration to other people. And this is also one of those efforts to showcase already good things that are already happening. So that's one thing that we work with schools on. The second thing is to also build a long term reputation in the teaching community. So right now, especially for the young ones, because our target audience is also young teachers, they are very tech savvy. They are online, they are talking to each other on WhatsApp groups, on Facebook communities, on Instagram channels, and so on. That's where they are also making up a perception of where do I go? Oh, that school is good, this school is good, here perks are better, there my friend is teaching, here I have better. I don't know, freedom to experiment different ways of teaching. Here I get project based work, whatever different ways teachers do, right? So for that, we have a platform where what we learned, I'll show the platform, but what we learned in that is a lot of schools also put out content on social media saying that these are the kind of teachers we have, these are the kind of students we have, and so on. But what really the teachers value is teachers talking about it,
Yes,
not
agree.
the management, so to speak.
Agree. Completely agree about it.
So that's the piece that we help schools pick up to build a profile where teachers of that school share reviews for the benefit of other teachers, and that's how
Correct.
the reputation slowly starts getting built. Where this is not the school management saying something, this is the teachers who are working there for XYZ years sharing their lived experience. Some of it is
Correct.
also areas of improvement, so it also
Correct.
becomes authentic and genuine.
Surprised there will be some people who are really upset that there's no chair to sit like that. Like, I expected a chair to be in that place, but the chair wasn't there when I came to that. It can be as simple as what do I say? I don't want to use a terminology there. I mean, it's if it's your school, you could definitely call someone, ask them, say, please, could you put that chair or pull up a chair yourself and say, okay, come, let me find myself a chair. It's not that it's unavailable in the school, it's all there.
You're right in saying that there's a lot of it which is also expectation setting and expectation management. Uh, Many teachers expect a certain thing to happen in a school, and once they enter, it just becomes a surprise suddenly that, oh, I thought about this, I assumed that this would happen, and it's not happening, or vice versa. I assumed this wouldn't happen, and it's happening. And I think we should talk about that as well, maybe. And then I can show you the platform. It's not.
Yeah. There's just talk noise going on around. Based on A told me like that, B told me like that, C told me like that. C told me about X school. B told me about Y school. So there is, and honestly, let me tell you, when some people come and, share some thoughts with me, I'm like, come on, give me an evidence of that. Because some of those are what I have seen in the past and they are not true.
Yeah. So let us then maybe take another minute or two on this. What is the expected role and responsibility of a teacher when they join a school? And maybe we can pick Chrysalis as the specific examples because you're there. Apart from teaching and teaching related planning, that's an obvious thing. I'm teaching a class, I have to do my best to be able to deliver that class well. And for that, I need to prepare, I need to think about charts, I need to think about TLMs, and so on and so forth. That's, I think,
See, everything is associated to that only. If
Acha.
I'm going to teach a group of 30 students, I'm not dealing only with 30 students, right? I'm teaching about six sections. So I'm talking about 180 plus students. So 180 plus students learning is my responsibility. So whether comes to preparation of worksheets at Chrysalis, we don't have any of those responsibilities because we have a curriculum team which does it all, and it's all shared across. So their lesson plans, all of them are coming, and there are people dedicatedly involved preparing high quality of those, whether it's the annual plan. But that's not the case in a lot of schools where a teacher is involved in preparing the annual plan. The teacher has to prepare the worksheets, the question papers associated with it, and all of it. So when I say worksheets, it's just not a worksheet, saying, okay, come on, let me give the entire bandwagon, that kind. So if it requires a level of working to ensure that some of these worksheets are modified so that I can reach up to this group of my audience. So that should be done. That's a part of. So taking up the ownership of 180 students that you're teaching, Whatever comes within that domain is our job. And very importantly, we are now talking about report cards, and gone are those days when those report cards were written. Now you feed in the data and everything goes to. So when it comes to data sharing and data information, because we have to feed this data across multiple portals, including parents, and so managing that data and being accurate about that data maintenance, whether it's related to a particular child or it's related to a grade, or all of that is an important responsibility of a teacher. So, but all these are considered these days by teachers as administrative jobs. Why should we be doing all those administrative jobs? But those pertain to the child and his learning and the report card and the communication that's going. So, if I have a child in my class and the child is unwell, I am the one to communicate to the parent that the child has been unwell. So, what are the procedural protocols that have to be followed so that the parent is aware that the child has been unwell? Because the primary caregiver is the parent. You're the teacher, so it is our responsibility, bigger than responsibility, to ensure that the parent is informed and the child is given attention at that point in time. So these are some of the very important responsibility besides what is assumed to be as responsibilities like teaching, preparing teaching aids. Uh, so that's where we have kind of put ourselves into a shell, saying that, okay, this is the domain of a teacher. Anything outside of this is not my domain. I'm being pulled into all those directions.
So next big topic that I keep hearing from a lot of teachers is working with parents, and how at least I have mentally made a structure to think about working with parents is there are some things which I as a teacher have to directly do with parents, and some things which I have to do in collaboration with the school administration. Uh, but let me first open ended throw it to you of how do you look at working with parents.
Yeah. See, again, it depends upon the age group of the children when you're working with parents. See, when you're working with parents of younger children, much younger children, parents are also new to parenting. So they are as much in the journey of learning as a parent, as much as the child is in the process of learning. Okay, so they become very touchy about a lot of things. So communication is extremely important there, very very important. I don't mean to say that it's unimportant to communicate to a parent when the child grows older, but at that point in time the parent wants to know everything that's happening in your child's thing. So anything related to, whether it's about learning or it's about incomplete work or it's about certain difficulties the child has, or about some small disagreements with other children, other things, it's okay for the parent, for the teacher to come and discuss with the coordinators and say, can we take this across to the parent, inform the parent, after having a fair understanding of what has happened and what has not happened. So there that can be done. So once the children progress to middle school or something like that, we start believing that children can also rationally think to an extent. So there are certain things that you want the children to also know, and they going and communicating to the parent. So the level of communication wherein the parent is the primary person to whom you communicate becomes slightly lesser. You want to also tell the child, come on, you are supposed to be behaving in a certain way. Why should I talk this to your parent? I'm telling you, why don't you listen? So that way. So as they grow older, you expect them to be a little more mature, which means that they should be in a position to understand what is instruction and why that instruction. All this is assuming that the instructions are also rational in nature. The problem comes in when some of these instructions may not be rational. they could be given by people, a little irresponsibly. Sometimes it does happen, but most of the times, the communication between a parent and a teacher is a very, very important thing. In fact, parents come back and say, if the teacher says the child will do anything, ma'am, but if I tell my child will not do anything. So, you know, the some way children, parents, teachers win the love and affection of the teacher, of the students. Till at least that.
Since you said mentioned the rational, some things have to be rational. Only then you can communicate. I have a very controversial topic to just check with you. We can decide to if
No,
you
I'll give you a small anecdote before I tell you, why I meant rational.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you. This is a very sweet incident. This happened long time back. Okay, so one child was brought to my room as a principal. So the child was brought to my room, and the teacher, the coordinator, I can't recall that, said, "See, ma'am, the child had a cast on the left hand. See, the child has written notes all over the cast. So he is written everywhere there. How can he be so irresponsible? I'm really angry and upset and other things." So I sent the teacher coordinator out of the room, and then I said, okay, I'll deal with this. And so the teacher was furious. The coordinator was equally furious that so I asked the child, what is it? I mean, do you think it's any effort worth the time? I mean, what are you going to and what do you want to prove? Anyway, this is not what you have to rewrite this in your notebook, right? So why did you do this? So the child told me that I didn't have my notebook. I got up in the class and told ma'am, I don't have my notebook. Where do I write it? She said, write wherever you want to. So you tell me.
This reminds me of the seventh. I have one anecdote as well. The seventh standard that I was teaching, what had happened was, I my fourth standard classroom was extremely volatile. Everybody is energetic. The 32 kids, they're constantly bickering, fighting. Something or the other is happening. And I didn't know how to bring students under control in my class. In seventh standard, when I was teaching, some fight broke out, and they were constantly fighting. I said you should stop, listen, and so on, and they just didn't listen. At some point in time, some fuse turned. I said, you know what, do one thing, go out and fight on the road. And somehow in seventh standard, they understood sarcasm. So they're like, "Arey, nahi, sorry, we'll say, we'll not," and so on. Somehow it just de escalated. And I thought this is a great idea. This is the idea that I should give my fourth standard class.
Ah,
I come back.
I can imagine.
I come back to fourth standard. Same, I'm teaching something, and two girls start fighting. And I turn, I said, "What happened?" One of them says, "She threw water on me." So I say, "You know what? Both of you throw water on each other." And the other girl just took a water bottle and put water on her head. And the full class is now looking at me of how is this a solution to anything?
I
And
know.
so yeah, I fully now
It's
I laugh at it, but at that point it was just I didn't know what to do in class. Coming back to the parents thing, you were mentioning there are some things that you want to work directly with the student, and some things you directly communicate with the parent. What are the kind of things where, as a teacher, I should first keep the school administration in alignment and then communicate to the parent? What are some of those kind of things?
see, some are anecdotes about behavioral issues, anecdotes about health issues, anecdotes about some abnormal, behavior, all those things, whatever you think. And very importantly about academic, issues, some emotional, psychological thing that's like immediately keep the administration informed about it. there is a worry. I mean, today, especially today, when children are all behaving like eggshells. So, we have to be very, very careful about them.
How do I look at my career as a teacher? Let's say somebody joins Chrysalis, they're probably teaching, have taught for 2, 3 years, and they come to you and say, "What do I do? How do I think about my long term, medium term? Maybe I have to get married. Maybe I have a plan of having 2 kids instead of 1 kid, whatever." So there's a lot that goes on in long term career planning.
Yeah.
How should I think?
You continue to be doing good work. The school offers immense opportunities to grow. Just not grow as a teacher, grow into leadership, grow into subject expert matter items and all of it. So why is because the school is so huge, branches, the number of branches, the number of teams that are there, so all of them require some understanding of education, right? So it really helps to start off and then start doing continue doing good work. The chances that they're recognized is huge because the opportunities are so much. It's not like it's one independent school where, like, a teacher leaves, another one comes and plugs that position. No, right? People are moving ahead. So maybe a person who's been working for 4 5 years suddenly is moved to another school as a senior in a senior position, then that role gets vacant, then another person comes there. So this way the school provides immense opportunities for growth.
Got it. So the focus then is on what more have I learned every year that I've passed.
Every year, how good work have I been consistently able to do?
Yeah, I personally look at, if I just reflect on my own career, a lot of it is, I use the word leverage. Some leverage comes from me having knowledge that probably nobody else has, uh, because of the work that I've done.
Absolutely, absolutely, you're bang on.
Yeah. Some
So
knowledge is, sorry, some leverage is from skills that probably somebody else does not have. I know how
see,
to use AI
a
better than
few
someone.
teachers, like I had the advantage of being really good, well skilled at computers. So, I've seen a lot of other teachers today being super skilled at the usage of the system. And, whether it's tools, usage of those tools, and especially during online, it was extremely evident that these teachers are going to thrive. They're going to do really well because they had multiple skill sets. They could, capture the audience with a fabulous presentation or have interactive tools on the net and, keep them, be a Padlet or a quizzes or whatever, and keep them occupied there and capture all their attention, or be able to give a lecture demonstration and still have to hold the audience in captivity. So that was very evident during. In a physical class, there's an advantage. There's always an advantage of a better connect. So, in the online classes, actually, some of the teachers, they just shone because of the added skills that they could
Yeah.
have.
So how do I look at it in term? Is there a ladder, first of all, as a teaching career or a teacher career? And if there isn't, then how do I look at it? Is there a step by step? Today I'm a new teacher. Tomorrow I might become a subject expert, then an HOD, and so on. This is because the reason I ask is very few schools have that structured process, right? And I, as a teacher, am probably moving different cities, different schools. So how do I look at it?
So it's not a rigid strict structure because some of these positions can also be created. I mean, based on the numbers and based on the sections and based on the requirement, some of these positions can be created. And we are open about creating some of these positions so that we have, someone monitoring there at that level or mid
So that you
leadership.
retain the good talent.
Yeah, so mid leadership, if will mid leadership at this level be able to, keep that person happy and keep that person motivated, so that I don't lose out that person owing to being unable to give them a very senior position. So some of those strategies also we employ. We employ to ensure and diverse responsibilities, like you take charge of this particular program, you kind of take up this program, implementation of the program, because our programs are all designed by the curriculum team, beautifully comes packaged. So but after all, the execution of all of that lies in the school. So someone monitoring and guiding that execution is great. It's wonderful for the school.
Maybe the last part on teacher, and then we'll move to the principal piece. What are some common gaps that you see in teachers who are applying to you, whether it's Chrysalis or in your previous experiences as well? What are some common
There's
patterns that you're
one
seeing?
huge gap. There's only one big, big, big gap. And I keep reiterating on this: communication, effective communication. I don't mean to say communicating what you know in terms of what is there in the textbook to make the child understand is not a teacher's job. A teacher's job is making a child understand beyond what is expected in the textbook. In terms of real life, it's easy to say, please give real life examples. No. So, like a simple example. I'd like to state this with an example because these are the faults that I have seen, especially in chemistry or biology. So you have to let the children visually imagine certain things. Like water, ma'am, why can't we generate, why can't there be oxygen? Because water is present everywhere. So we can electrolyze water and get oxygen and hydrogen, right? Is a question that I've asked. So, if water is existent as water all around the earth, it just means that it's the most stable substance. So, water is happier being water than being as hydrogen and oxygen. As simple as that. So, that's how the nature of that substance is. And what you're going to do is a process like electrolyzing, which needs energy, which needs. So, is it easier to keep water as water or keep electrolyzing it, employing energy, and keeping it as hydrogen and oxygen? Difficult to store also. So, you create things for your necessity, but you don't disrupt the natural balance that's been existed. So this is a kind of learning that has to go across every domain. I am just giving you an example because I taught chemistry. So this is a big doubt in children. So children are not able to differentiate between man-made processes and natural occurrence and natural phenomena. So they, whatever names we have given are what they assume to be present long time. So, these terminologies that we have given are man-made. So we have to make children understand. So that's the level of communication that I
How do
feel
I
is lacking.
how do I master this art? This is an art. What you are talking about is genuinely an art to be able to distill a complex idea into its simplest form.
That is only possible if you have deep understanding of learning, not deep understanding of subject, deep understanding of learning. What is it that the child is not able to visualize? What is it that the child is not able to understand, comprehend? So that is a big thing. My son said something very beautiful long time back. I'd like to state that. He said, I've realized over time that the best teachers are the teachers who just know what my children have not understood. What is that aspect that they've not understood? Not a generic term like saying you don't understand algebraic expressions is the wrong thing. What is it in algebraic expressions that you have not understood? If a teacher has identified that, I think they would have mastered the art of teaching.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful thing that he mentioned when he was in 11th standard. I thought that was a very young age to analyze something as beautiful as that. So it really, I was also a young teacher then it really brought in a lot of thought into that
One
particular
thing
thing.
that helps
That's
me,
one thing. Second thing, sorry, second one, I said communication. And the second thing that I think that teachers, sorry, I have just lost my train of thoughts.
how do I improve on the skill of being able to distill a complex topic into smaller parts?
So that is of course, you will have to keep identifying, and it comes by reflective teaching. So it comes. So you are able to present attitude. You exactly know what is the problem in their learning. So communication is one aspect. Yes. The second thing, which we are not able to do, which we are not trained to do in our life or in our education system, is critical thinking. We are not able to do that. So teachers who cannot critically think cannot instill critical thinking in their.
And how do I develop this ability?
It's a very very important ability that I need to work on with myself. So that's where we say solve as many mathematical puzzles that you can. Please work on word problems, work on all of those mental ability. We say children, please work on mental ability. It's equally important for teachers. How many of us engage in games? How many of us engage in puzzles or say, crosswords or all of it? It's very important. It's a self skill, it's a life skill for each one of us. And that critical thinking needs to be practiced. So these are small strategies which help us build critical thinking on a bigger.
Yeah. What helps me, at least what I do, and it's a combination of both the communication and this critical piece, thinking, is actually writing. I sit and write different things. Sometimes I just randomly write about my thoughts. Sometimes I write about some topic, some problem that's happening in the world.
So beautifully said. So beautifully said, Nikhil. I mean, I'm feeling very bad that I don't write as much as I used to write before. I rarely write. That's maybe the reason my critical thinking is coming down.
Yeah, even the critical thinking piece, it helps me structure my thoughts. And when I write, I immediately think, oh, this is not my real thought. This is an intermediate filler thought. I shouldn't
Yeah.
write. So this is how not how I
No,
think.
not only that, when you start writing, you see what's not going to happen.
Correct, correct, correct.
This is not the progressive path. There is some gap here. So what happens if this doesn't get? So this will not go to its
Yeah,
result.
and automatically, as exactly how you're saying, this is exactly critical thinking, right? To be able, oh, there's a gap. This is how I will
Yeah,
solve it. Then you continue write the next sentence,
yeah.
and
So
so on and so on.
I tell this to the parent. Oh no, but how do I communicate that to the parent? Oh, what is that to the? That's critical thinking.
Yeah,
Like you connect all the dots which are haphazardly present around.
yeah, yeah. Should principals also be teaching a class?
I would love to. Personally, they should. Only then will they know the challenges in the classroom. They are not likely to sit in a table and hear and understand what are the problems in a classroom. The more and more principals visit classrooms and randomly sit and teach any particular grade, teachers also step up and realize that it's a when the principal takes responsibility, then it's my responsibility to take. When I say principal's teaching, I don't just mean just going in the class and teaching and coming, someone doing the correction, someone doing the worksheet, someone doing, no, it includes everything. When I say teaching learning experience, all the expectations I have of a teacher, that should be executed by the principal as well. If it means that a remediation has to be done, yes, remediation has to be done. If it requires the teacher to, I mean, do the corrections for whatever topic has been done, that correction has to be done by the teacher. And if you have set up a worksheet or an assignment or given something, that correction also has to be done, discussed, everything. So whenever I have taught, I have done that as a principal. Very importantly, whatever topics I have taught, I have ensured that the correction happens only by me, so that I know what I have taught has come into the notebook and something random is not there in the notebook. So that's something.
Okay, that's about the questions that I had prepared for. Do you think of anything else that I think we should discuss, or sorry, you think we should discuss, that you think teachers will benefit or new principals will benefit?
Yes, one thing that I'd like all teachers and principals, everyone, is to harness their creativity. Everyone is born with creative skills. We just don't utilize it enough because we feel this is enough. The feeling of this is enough, what big deal, is going to actually make us redundant. The day we recognize our recognize and start looking at our skills, we'll become better versions of ourselves. It's okay. I mean, it's not important that I've seen a lot of women, because I a lot of women into teaching. They believe, yeah, we've all come into 40s, our children are here, there, and other things. Why should we do, ma'am? Why should we dance? Why should we do and other things? But if you have those creative, everyone is not endowed with all kinds of creative skills. So if you start looking into yourself and building your own self confidence, it reflects very clearly, and it gives you, like you say, you if you're happy, you create happiness around you. So if you are creative and you bring out your creativity, you are encouraging many more people to come out with their creativity. So always creating that environment. I won't say only leaders should do that. I'd expect every teacher to give that space to all their children to be creative in whatever way. So you also enjoy that creativity. So keep that creative spirit alive. It can be in small things. It can be in cooking. It can be in, even doing a mind map differently, or doing a lecture very differently, doing an experiment differently, or asking your children to answer a question differently. So all of those small, small things make a huge impact in the children and in yourself. That's a good path for you to, build in creative thinking.